Welcome to the Leadville 100 mountain bike vlog. Tomorrow I'm doing Leadville for the fourth time. First time I did it was 2019 and it was a massive sufferfest. I only rode about an hour and 40 minutes for my longest ride leading up to it. That was a major mistake. I hiked a part of one of the 14ers the day before. I can't remember if it was Mount Elbert or Mount Massive, but it was about a 8 to 10 mile hike, high elevation, and it was really stupid to do the day before the race. I didn't respect Leadville enough, how hard that day was going to be. I did the race on a long travel mountain bike, a Santa Cruz high tower that was heavy. I didn't have much knowledge around cross-country race bikes like I have now, and I paid dearly for all of my mistakes that year. My time was 10 hours and 19 minutes, and from about the 2.5 hour mark on, I didn't want to be out there. I was just in a suck fest. I learned some lessons. I learned that you should definitely prepare for Leadville by doing longer rides, just like I would have done for my Ironman races back in the day. And I also learned that you should rest the day before, and training on the course at elevation are going to massively benefit you for the race. Last 2 years, both were great races for me at Leadville. In 2023, my time was 8 hours and 47 minutes, I believe. And to get the big belt buckle, which is kind of the holy grail in Leadville, you have to go sub 9 hours. So I was able to get the big belt buckle. And then last year, I was 8 hours and 27 minutes, I believe. Again, got the big belt buckle. Both of those years, I built to a 2 hour and 40 minute ride on the course. Nothing crazy, less than most, but I also hit the gym pretty regularly. And, for both of those years, I was doing quite a few high intensity 90-minute to 2 hour rides, like zone 3, some even into zone 4. So I really feel like that helped me tremendously with my race outcome, even though I didn't do any 5 and 6 hour rides. Riding on the course has helped me so much. I've ridden St. Kevin's, Sugarloaf, Hagerman, Columbine multiple times. And last year and this year, I was in Leadville at least twice a week, training on the course for 5 to 6 weeks prior to race day. And knowing the course helps so much. Training at that elevation, Leadville is 10,200 feet. The highest point of the race is 12,500 feet. Training at that elevation helps so much. I did a lot of riding in Georgetown doing this. Georgetown to Bailey. I'm drawing a blank on what the name of that pass is right now, but it's up at like 11,500 feet. So I was doing that quite a bit. And I was also riding in Silver Plume, which is fairly high. I sleep here at 6,000 feet, so I'm already at elevation, but getting up to 9, 10, 11,000 feet regularly in the 5 to 6 weeks leading up to Leadville helps so much. Guanella Pass, that's the name of that pass that I was riding up to. I also did some long rides. I did a stage race in Croatia this year with James Lawrence, the Iron Cowboy. That was about 20 hours of biking in a week. There were 3 days where we were 4+ hours of mountain biking. I rode a portion of the Kokopelli Trail, which is a 6.5 hour ride, 70 miles. So that was a great training ride. That was about 3 months ago that I did that. And I've done a lot of rides in the 2 to 3 hour range, maintaining consistently 230 to 260 watts. And I've had some 30-minute to 60-minute pushes around the 290 to 300 watt range. So my watts are at an all-time high. That's higher than what I was even pushing in Ironman. When I competed in Kona in 2014, I think I averaged around 250 to 260 watts for 4 hours and 56 minutes in Kona, and I was very bike fit then. I think I'm just as bike fit now, and I'm definitely more mountain bike fit, meaning like punchy stuff. I just have more anaerobic capacity. So I feel really dialed in for tomorrow. I would not have changed anything. Maybe I would have done a few more 5 to 6 hour rides, but I just really don't enjoy how I feel after those. So I like doing 2.5 to 3.5 hour rides, but at a higher effort. And I feel like, that helps a lot with muscle endurance. It's not the same as a 5 or 6 hour ride. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone preparing for Leadville. I would recommend doing some 5 and 6 hour rides, but I've been able to get away with some fairly fast Leadville times by, not doing any crazy long rides, because I do typically do 2 sessions in a day. This year, though, I did back off a bit on the gym work. I have not been in the gym the last 5 or 6 weeks like I typically am. Usually I still maintain at least 4 to 5 gym days a week. I've backed it down to like 2 to 3. I haven't squatted in 3 weeks. I've really tried to be smart about just sport specific cycling volume leading into Leadville this year. So we'll see if it pays off. I'm hoping to go sub 8. That would be a 25 plus minute PR. I think I have the bike fitness to do it. I just have to execute on my plan. So today, full rest day. Yesterday, I rode for 90 minutes. I felt really good. I hit a couple high effort intensity intervals, 300-ish watts for 10 to 15 minutes. And in Leadville, I know that my power is going to suffer. It'll be about 10% less than what it is at 6,000 feet. Just being at that elevation, your power massively suffers. So I'm aware of that, but I'm going to push the climbs. I'm going to push St. Kevin's. I'm going to push Columbine. I'm hoping to be within 10% of my power output on those climbs is what I would be here. So I'm looking to hit 260 to 280 watts on those climbs. Today, full rest day, focusing a lot on recovery. I'm going to do Normatec boots. I'm going to do 1 to 2 rounds of sauna and cold exposure today. I don't want to push it too much with the sauna because I want to make sure that I'm really hydrated. I'm focusing a lot on hydration. I've already had 1 half-gallon bottle of water with LMNT in it. I'm planning on having at least 2 more of those, so I'll have 1.5 gallons of water today. I had a nice hearty breakfast. I had eggs, sausage, some bison meat. For dinner, I will have, I think, turkey meat and some pasta for carbs. I'll have some fruit and some honey today as well. That always works well for me for carbs. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. and I'm going to drive to Leadville, race morning. I've never done this before, but I sleep horribly at elevation. So I decided that I wanted to sleep here tonight. I don't want to sacrifice sleep. I would rather get to bed early, hopefully get a good night of sleep here, leave early, listen to some motivational hip hop music on the way to Leadville tomorrow, get amped up for the race and let it rip. So that is my plan this year. Past years I have spent at least 1 night in Leadville, but I always get the worst sleep of my life at 10,200 feet. So I don't want to do that again this year. I want to be in my own bed and hopefully control the sleeping environment so I can get 7+ hours of sleep tonight. I'm going to go to bed really early, probably be in bed at like 7 or 7:30, hopefully sleeping by 8, and then up at 4 a.m. off to Leadville. I've got everything packed up. The bike is going to be in the car for tomorrow. I have my morning meal laid out, which is going to be some eggs, some rice, some fruit, some honey. Have my coffee already made, so just ready to go. I don't have to think about anything tomorrow morning. I wake up, I roll out of bed, I grab that stuff out of the fridge, I get in the car, off to Leadville. One big decision for me was which bike to ride. So I have the S-Works Epic 8 and I have the S-Works World Cup. Both are incredible bikes. I've decided I'm gonna ride this guy. I'm gonna ride the Epic 8. It's heavier by 2 pounds. That weighs 20 pounds, that weighs 22 pounds. But this rides like a hardtail, which isn't the worst thing in the world for Leadville, but I'm much more confident riding the full 120 suspension with flight attendant. This thing will lock out for me on all of the non-technical climbs. On the roads it'll lock out, and descending, I know I can descend faster on this than I can on this. I also think later in the race, I'm going to be able to go faster on this because my body will have taken less abuse than it would take on the World Cup. I tested this out. I rode both of these bikes on the course, and my segments were faster on the Epic 8, even though the World Cup is lighter, and probably a very skilled rider would likely ride the World Cup faster than the Epic 8. But for me, I was faster on all of my segments with the Epic 8, so I've decided to ride that one tomorrow. She's all tuned up. I got these Schwalbe Rick XC tires that were recommended by a friend, so fingers crossed I have no mechanical issues tomorrow. In my water bottles, I'm going to start with LMNT and Ketone IQ. I'm bringing 4 Morton bars with me and 4 BPN gels with caffeine. I'll have NeuroGum with me, which also has 40 milligrams of caffeine, I believe. And on the course, I'll have to take some because my water bottles, I will not have anyone that is going to refill them. So I'll stop at the aid stations. I'll refill them quick with whatever they have on course. And towards the end of the race, I'll probably have to grab some more nutrition, whatever gels they have out there, bananas, Coca-Cola at the end of the race. But race plan is I'm in the red corral, which is one of the front corrals, so I should be with some faster guys who've gone sub 8:30, and I want to push it in the beginning. I want to push it up St. Kevin's a bit just to get really good positioning when we hit Columbine, so I don't get stuck behind anyone both ascending and descending Columbine. I know that my power is going to fade towards the end. I haven't done, the 6, 7, 8 hour rides like some of these top guides will do, so I know that I'm going to fade regardless, so I want to try and make up some time early on, but without pushing it. I mean, I know that I can't go much above 300 watts at elevation without burning matches, so I'm going to be watching my power meter. I'm not going to go above 300 watts because I don't want to burn any matches. For me, heart rate wise, I'll probably be between 130 and 140 heart rate for the beginning of the race, and then as I get fatigued, it'll probably drop down to the low 120s towards the end of the race when my muscle endurance just can't support the effort. I'm really looking forward to it. I feel great. I feel more bike fit than I ever have. The next segment on this video will be my post-race report. Hopefully, I'm stoked about how it goes. All right, we are post-Leadville. Do a little weight check-in on the Hume scale. The scale's very cool because not only does it give you your weight, it gives you what your actual biological age is, not just your chronological age. Last time I did this, I think I was maybe 182. I am 179.5 now. Let's see what my body fat percentage is. I love this. Metabolic age, 33 years old. I'll take that. 12 years younger than my actual age of 45. So body fat, 9.2%. Over time, it has gone down a little bit since the first time I measured this, and that's just from the higher volume of biking. I still weigh right around what I like to weigh. 180 is where I feel fast running and biking, but also have enough weight to move weight and feel strong in the gym. I love this app though. I found it to be really accurate. I do DEXA scans when I'm in Austin. The stats on this are pretty similar to what my DEXA scan would say. So that tells me that this is actually doing a really good job with all of the body composition overviews. It'll tell you the body fat, where your muscle is within your body composition. So that's a really cool graph that you can see. And I just like tracking it over time. So seeing body fat over time, weight over time, and it tracks all of it for you in this Hume app. We'll put a code for this in the description below if you guys are in the market for a new scale that tells you way more than just what your weight is. All right, as you can see, my bike is now dirty, which means I just completed the Leadville 100. Also, how cool is this hat from the feed? Kudos are forever. Here is my post-race report. Everything went really well. I PR'd. My time was 8 hours and 7 minutes. I was hoping to go sub 8, which I knew was going to be optimistic. It was a 20-minute PR from last year. I definitely put in a lot more bike volume this year to get that 20-minute PR, and backed off on running a lot of the gym sessions after the High Rocks Championships in June, and just like really put on the mountain biking hat. The one thing I could do to improve is longer rides. I just don't really like riding much more than 3.5 hours because it affects so many other aspects of life. I just feel exhausted after doing that. I'm not energized. I don't have mental clarity like I would have if I just hit a 60-minute gym session or a 45-minute run. And I don't like being in the saddle for that long. But that's how I could improve. I mean, more muscle endurance. I definitely fade later in the race. So strategy, I left the house this morning at 4 a.m., which was a good move. I slept well last night, tracked it on my Oura Ring, 7 hours of sleep, which is pretty good pre-race because I'm always anxious about any big race because I want to perform well. I put in a lot of work, and there's definitely much more importance put on race day over other days. And so that always, I don't sleep as well, but sleeping in my own bed, sleeping at 8,000 feet or 6,000 feet instead of 10,200 feet, it definitely was the right move. And I got to just kind of visualize the race in the drive to Leadville. It was an hour and 30-minute drive from our house to Leadville, and just blasting music, thinking about the race and how it was going to unfold. It was a really nice, just kind of meditation driving there early in the morning, dark out, not much traffic. Got to Leadville at a little after 5:30 and found a parking spot really easy. Got the bike all prepped. I had my list for everything that I needed to do, so I just looked at my list and put the batteries on the bike, fueled the water bottles, put my nutrition in my kit, and it was just all on autopilot. So nutrition, what I brought with me was 4 Morton bars, 4 BPN gels with, I believe, 75 milligrams of caffeine. And I had both of my water bottles filled with 1 element in each, 1 ketone in each, and last minute decision because honestly, a lot of people were like, geez, you're not bringing a lot of carbs with you. So I put some of the Feed high carb mix. I put 3 scoops in between the 2 bottles. So that was my nutrition that I brought with me. I knew that I was going to be fueling a lot of the back half of the race on the course, which I always do. I don't like carrying too much. My stomach generally doesn't get messed up with whatever they're serving on course, so I don't want to weigh my bike down. So I tend to just stop at the aid stations and grab gels or have them refill my water bottles, which I did. You'll see my moving time was 8:05 and my total time was 8:07. So it only took 2 minutes. Doesn't take a ton of time to stop and just, have one of the friendly people at the aid station give you a gel and fill up the water bottle, and voila, you're off. So that was my nutrition. On the course, I probably had another, this is guessing, 6 gels while on the course. So, total 6, 10 gels, 4 Morton bars. That was my total calories and carbs consumed. I'm a little brain dead from the race, so I can't tell you what that math is, but you can easily figure it out by looking at the Morton bar calories, BPN gel carbs. I forgot what they served on the course, but, figure 100-calorie gels on the course with 30 grams of carbs, and I was trying to grab caffeine ones. And then I also brought NeuroGum with me. I probably had 5 pieces of NeuroGum when I was out there, so more caffeine. I love caffeine during these races. I also had a Correct Energy. I had 2 of their pills this morning before heading out. So, upwards of probably 800 milligrams of caffeine. I feel like you kind of have to drug yourself to perform well at these long endurance races, and I always thought that with the Ironman races too. So race start, I was in the Red Corral, which is the furthest up I've ever been. I didn't really do much of a warm-up. It starts downhill. I had a jacket on and my kit under my jacket. My plan was to take the jacket off after about an hour, which I did and just gave to someone on the course. So you're welcome. You got a free jacket. I give a jacket away every year. And downhill start, just kind of coasting with the pack. Pushed it up the first couple climbs like, I wanted to. I was probably 260 watts, I would guess, up the climbs. And when I looked at my bike computer, when I got to the Hagerman Road, I was 50 minutes in, which I knew was a PR. So it's good when you PR on race day, because generally I only ride that 33-mile segment, and I beat my time in that. So I'm like, okay, I'm having a good day. Obviously, having other people out there in a pack, that moves you forward faster. So I was doing a lot of pack riding. That was one of the good decisions I made for sure. From Hagerman, I guess it's Sugarloaf is the next climb. I could be wrong on that. Pipeline or Power Line, I just bombed. I felt so comfortable on my Epic 8 with that flight attendant suspension and having 120. I'm so glad I made that choice to go with this bike instead of my World Cup. It was just way less bumpy. My triceps are smoked from all of the descending, but my hands never went numb. My wrists were fine. I have these fat grips, ESI grips on my bike, which are absolutely amazing for the impact of the downhills. So I was able to bomb Power Line, and then Pipeline is a point where you want to be in a pack, and I was in a pack. It was great. We were all trading off. We'd pull for 30 seconds, rotate around, pull for 30 seconds. So I was able to do a bunch of pack riding out to Twin Lakes. And then the Columbine climb, I was with a elite female for the entire Power Line climb, just like hanging on behind her. Didn't want to pass her. Like, she was going at the exact effort that I wanted to go at. It felt a little slower than last year. I'd have to look at Strava and see if it was slower, but it felt a little more controlled. I feel like last year I pushed it a bit more, but I wanted to save some in the tank, because last year I faded so much towards the end of the race. I didn't want that to happen again. So I conserved a bit. Maybe got passed by 2 people up Columbine. I mean, I felt like I was riding really good for, starting in the sub 8:30 pack. Got to Power Line, grabbed some gels, got refueled with Scratch, which is what I think they serve on the course, and had it back down and bombed it. Oh, Columbine descent was so fun for me this year. On this bike, I just felt so confident on the top section, which is super rocky and rutted, and then even the bottom section. And I mean, so many people racing, I think because I have a feed helmet on, and I'm the slowest feed athlete, and probably one of the more muscular feed cyclists. I just heard a lot of yells, "Eric, great job, Eric." It was awesome. So I started yelling back. I'm like, "Great job, guys. This is so fun. We're having a great day." That's fun. Columbine is still really fun. I would say that's type 1 fun, but when you get down to the bottom of Columbine, so mile 62, I saw Sarah, I saw Ty, and Ty's son Lane, one of my very good friends, my girlfriend Sarah. It's such a high when you see friends and family at these endurance races. I really feel like the deeper you get into it, you need these gifts, you need these positive thoughts, you need these things to look forward to. And for me, it might just be like a song that comes on. I made a playlist on Apple Music, and the Drake song comes on that I love. I'm like, oh, okay, 4 minutes of this. I'm high for 4 minutes listening to the song, and then I lose the high. But you got to figure out these little things in endurance races to keep your mind off of I want to quit and just lay down and take a nap, because at mile 70, that's how I felt. So saw those guys at the aid station, which was awesome. And then I was riding mostly solo Pipeline, going back into Leadville, which sucked. There was windy, headwinds, but no one was around me. I finally caught a pack of 5, 2 elite females and 3 other good cyclists. I could tell by their calves they were good cyclists. So I hung with them for probably 10 miles up to Power Line. And then when I got to Power Line, so that's I don't know, mile 75-ish. Fuck, that sucks. Power Line sucks. I hate that they put that at mile 75 in the course. It's just brutal. So I walked a little bit of Columbine, the least I've ever walked before, just the very top portion. I walked one little segment. I was able to ride most of it, which usually I can ride it, but I like to give my lower back a break because my lower back is my biggest pain point in these endurance rides. And I know if I'm just grinding on, Columbine, that it's going to blow my lower back up. So, walking for me, got to check the ego. And I just know that, hey, give my calves a little workout and take the pressure off my lower back. So I think even if you can ride Columbine and you're a 8-ish hour Leadville athlete, I think it's beneficial to walk it and just take some pressure off your lower back. So then Powerline, I walked 2 segments. I walked, that super steep part. When you turn off the road, you can ride the little bit, and then like what you see right there. I rode a bit of it, and then, just before where like the kinetic energy is, I walked that section. I was just toasted, and I'm like, my lower back is hurting really bad, and my adductor was starting to get a little crampy feeling, which scared the hell out of me. At the kinetic, man, that is such a savior, having kinetic at mile like 80, towards, I don't know, the middle of Powerline. More so because it's cold. It's a cold beverage. You could have given me cold piss at that stage, and I'd be like, sign me up. I'm all over it. Just having a cold beverage was, oh my God, life-changing. So Powerline grinds, it's just in my granny gear, just trying to like pedal through it, not walk, which I did. It hurt like hell. My power was diminished, probably 200 to 215 watts at that point. Like, just absolutely smoked. Got to the top of Powerline, and then, you have quite a bit of descending towards the end of the race. And I didn't know the math. I thought I was going to be close to 8 hours, which was my goal, but I didn't know the exact math. I only knew I would know the exact math when I got back to like St. Kevin's, out to the road, and then on that dirt road back into town. I know those segments pretty well. But at that point, I'm like, I'm going to be close to 8, but there's really nothing I can do. I'm pushing. I was averaging 130 heart rate, which is all I can do for 8 hours. So bombed, again, just so confident descending with having more suspension. It's so comfortable. I passed people going down Sugarloaf, passed people on Hagerman, then bombed the road, and then the climb on the road back up to St. Kevin's, 210 watts, just trying to like do something respectable, but I was hurting. My lower back was just tightening up. At that point, you're like so close. 15 miles away, it's like, oh, okay, I can deal with pain for 15 miles. A lot of descending at the back half of the race, and I grabbed 2 gels towards the end of the race, like 4 cups of Coca-Cola, and that saved me for the final 10 to 12 miles. I was able to push when I got back to that final dirt road that climbs back into Leadville and then up by the high school. Those gels and that Coke, it saved me. In hindsight, I need to do more calories. I need to do more carbs. These guys that are doing 150 grams per hour, I mean, they're doing it for a reason. It absolutely fuels energy. And I think I could have done better, like Powerline and just before Powerline. That's really where I needed to make up some time to go sub 8. Everywhere else, I feel like I did a great job pacing it. The end, I finished hard, way harder than I have in the past. I had more energy because I had those gels and that Coke, and spiked my blood sugar, gave me energy, and allowed me to finish really strong. So I got to get more diligent about more carbs, more calories. And my problem is I like doing 90-minute sessions, like 90-minute mountain bike rides, 90-minute high rocks type workouts, gym sessions, and I don't need fuel for those. I got to start training with more fuel so that I can build the tolerance for it on race day. Afterwards, Ty's son Lane at the finish line, Sarah at the finish line. Awesome seeing them. Got to do a little interview with the feed at the end, and I'm stoked. I mean, I'm really happy with my time. 8:07 was a hell of an effort. 20-minute PR, and I'm happy with it. I definitely I know what to do next year. I think I'm going to do Leadman next year, which is the full race series, the marathon, the 50-mile bike, the 100-mile ride, the 10K the day after, and then I'm really scared about it, but it's been on my bucket list for a while, the 100-mile run. So Leadman next year. I think I know what to do. I know what to do to get a faster time. I need to improve my fueling strategy, and I need to just do longer stuff, which I'm going to have to with Leadman. I mean, Leadman is lots of time on your feet to prep for that 100 run. I'm going to have to, sacrifice a lot of the gym sessions, and just really from like March on, focus on endurance, tons of running, tons of hiking, just being on my feet, and lots of biking to be able to do it. So longer sessions, that's what I need. That's gonna aid in muscle endurance. So I'm back here at the house now. We scooted fairly soon after. Wanted to just get back here and start the recovery routine. So I got the sauna crank in. I'm gonna hit a 20-minute sauna sesh, jump in the ice barrel, get some cold exposure in, hopefully help my lower back heal. My lower back is by far the most sore on me. My legs are a little crampy, my quads, my adductors a little crampy, but it's more just lower back that is blown up from that. And I felt it during the race, so I knew it was going to be really tight after this. There's a spider coming down on a web right here. Look at that. Doesn't look poisonous. So yeah, sauna cold, Cherry Bundy. I love Cherry Bundy. So we freeze Cherry Bundy in the freezer, and it tastes like a cherry popsicle. So I've already had 2 of those. I'm going to have more. I have a bunch of magnesium from the feed, Pillar magnesium, in that water bottle behind me that I'm going to indulge in when I'm in the sauna. And then we're ordering lots of protein. We ordered food from a local restaurant, and I'm doing lots of chicken and lots of carbs, protein and carbs post-race, so you recover faster. I found that out the hard way when I used to not eat after the races for a bit, but now it's like get some carbs in, get some protein in. It's going to help you recover so much faster. And obviously cold exposure is one of my go-tos for stuff like this because my body's pretty inflamed. So Leadman next year. My training now, I'm going to back off on the biking. I'm going to get more into just like enjoyable mountain bike rides. I'll do some long rides, like, after 2 days of recovery, I'm going to be really mountain bike fit. So I want to do a couple more big rides this summer before I lose that mountain bike fitness. So I think we're going to do Monarch Crest, one of my favorite point-to-point rides in Salida, Colorado, and up at Monarch Mountain. I'm going to do a long ride in Aspen next week. So I'll get a few more long rides in, but it's going to be back to just mainly 60 to 90 minute mountain bike rides. And the focus is going to shift back towards high rocks. So back in the gym 4 to 5 days per week, doing strength training. I haven't squatted in 3 weeks, so I'm going to be so sore from my first few squatting sessions back. I have been doing upper body. I've been doing a lot of pull-ups, and I've been doing a lot of bench press and toes to bar lately to keep the upper body strength, but I really backed off on all of the squatting so I could hit hard rides and so I could hit longer rides. And, as you get closer to anything, it's all about specificity. It's about, doing what your goal is. So, I backed off on the strength training to get more bike fit, and it worked. And then running. I'm going to ramp the running back up. I'm going to ease into it. I say that now. We'll see. I'm going to have some massive endurance from this, so I'll probably just want to go out and run like 10 miles, but I'm going to try and just kind of build it up. So, 15-mile week, 20-mile week, build it back up to like 30 miles per week. The next race that I have on my calendar is Toronto High Rocks, which I believe is mid-October, end of October. So back to the gym, back to High Rocks training, back to, less mountain biking, which honestly is the mix I enjoy. I really enjoy a good mix of, running, biking, gym sessions, aerobic fitness, anaerobic fitness, and to get really aerobically fit, for me, I have to back off a bit on the anaerobic training and all of the strength training that I do. So High Rocks really suits the way I enjoy training better. But with that said, Leadman next year, so I'm going to have to really sacrifice some of the training that I enjoy to accomplish that. But it's this obstacle that has always been on my mind. It's always something I wanted to do. And while I've kind of veered back into this endurance lane, I want to knock it out. While I don't care as much about losing strength. I don't care about losing the skill-based CrossFit fitness that I've acquired over the years. So I want to do it now while I'm still stoked on endurance. All right, I'm gonna go sauna, cold plunge, eat, sleep. Thanks for tuning in.